tips on songwriting. I'm just going to give you my experience. I don't know if this is going to be the answers that you are looking for, but this is just how I do it. And I think that everybody's gifted and given talents in different ways. You know, some people have 10 talents, some people have the one talent, and what you do is you do the best with the one talent that you have. That's how I view my life. I'm doing the best, the one talent I have. Maybe I'll grow it to 2, or maybe I'll teach somebody and they'll grow it to 10. So this is my experience. I personally start with a burden. My brother laughs. He says I write the melancholy, sad, depressing songs of the family. And it's usually where I start out. If you read about hymn writers, there's usually something deep inside. And it's a message that you just need to process and pour out and maybe share to encourage other people. And that's usually how I start. I have a burden in my heart that's just kind of mulling in my mind, and I ponder it for sometimes days, sometimes it's spontaneous, but often I'm pondering it for a little while, and it's a message that God is teaching me and bringing me through. And when I fully understand it, it comes out in a song. So I sit at the piano and I decide, some of my songs are happy. Not all of them are sad and depressing. But I look at it and I say, how does this feel to me? Is this something that's going to be just prayerful? It's me pouring my heart out to the Lord? Or is this a message to, edify and encourage the brethren? It's going to be big and exciting. Or is this just kind of a happy-go-lucky, let's, clap our hands and stomp our feet? And so then with that, I'll just start kind of playing chords. If it's a more somber song, I start in minors. I love minors. So that's just where it is. I start playing the piano. I start kind of feeling out the song, and then I just sit there with a pad of paper and I just start writing out the words that I'm thinking as I sing them along with a melody. Rarely do words come first. It's usually I sit there, I have an idea, and I start playing a melody, and I start speaking my heart of where that is. And then you just kind of have to fit it together because of the rhythm of songs and the timing of each measure and phrase. So that part takes a lot of work, trying to take what you're thinking in your head and making it rhyme and fit. And I have a lot of words, so if you look at my songs, it's like so I often look over scripture for inspirational truths to add into the lyrics, because I think that's where all of the power of anything is in scripture. So I try to add doctrine. Sometimes I use phrases directly from scripture, because isn't that fun to like have a nugget that you're singing and then you go through your devotions, you're like, oh! And I always put little music notes next to scriptures that have a melody through them, especially through the Psalms. Isn't that fun? You see so many songs that you sang growing up in church. I try to add unique chords, so it's not just 1 4 5 1 4 5. Sometimes I add a 2 minor, a 6 minor. So those things add some diversity. If you adding just like a 3 chord, a 3 major, that's kind of fun. So I would just try some different chords in there to make it not just like a normal average song that you add some spice. It often takes a full day to just really delve into it and sit through and work through all of those chords and making sure everything is fitting in the rhythm and the meter and making sure they rhyme. And then sometimes I'll sing it to my husband and I'm like, was that lousy? And he's like, oh, this part might have been, So feedback is good. And then you can come back, and so I know that on But God, I hated But God. Like first I was like, this is a great song. And then I sent it to Mrs. Rogers, Mark Rogers and family. I sent it to her, and then, because it was kind of low, and then I came back, I was like, actually, I hate it. No, it's the worst. And I completely changed the bridge, and I changed the key, and all sorts of things. I added another verse to it, and that one took like 3 or 4 weeks. I just kept thinking about it and tweaking it. So don't feel like you got it and that has to be the end of it. Sometimes you just need some space and you can come back and work on it. So don't ever consider it a lost cause. I pray a lot when I do this because I want it to glorify God. I want it to be pleasing to Him, because when you are a musician or an artist, those things you can't even share them with the world. It takes a lot of work to try to market things. Just because you're a songwriter doesn't mean hardly anybody's going to hear it. So you have to be content with sharing it with a small group of people, and especially to the Lord, and bring him glory wherever you can. He gave you that gift. Don't bury it. Use it for him, and then grow. And so when I come with growing, I also study the music of people that I think have a solid gift. I know that I studied the songs of Rodney Griffin back a few years ago because he has a lot of doctrine in his music, and he'll have a catchphrase, but that's not what he's solely reliant upon. He tells stories and he tells things through scripture, and I love it. I don't listen to a lot of the Collingsworth because they're kind of jazzy for me, but a lot of their hymn arrangements just are spectacular in how they're chording, and then the transitions to other keys. It's just magnificent. When they do that, they do it well. And so I'll study those composers and the arrangers and how do they do it. And then I try to have a concrete thing of how to do that in my own work. So that's what I do. You just keep growing. It takes time. Rodney Griffin, he had a book that was the stories about the songs, and he said he has so many songs that are just bad and nobody's ever heard of them. Not like wicked bad, just like, whew, I was still growing, and I have a whole pile of those. So just understand it's a process, and it's not a big deal if some of them aren't good. What's most important is that you continue to be faithful and use it for God, and continue to be willing to grow, and don't get discouraged, because creativity is courageous in and of itself. So just keep going, keep on keeping on.